I think everyone can agree that what happened last Monday night in Minneapolis to George Floyd at the hands of the police was reprehensible, inexcusable. I mean, there's really no adjective to accurately describe how disgusting it was. What's even worse is it wasn't an isolated incident. This type of thing has been going on in this country for far too long. In situations like this, I always look at anything positive that could come out of it. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing positive about what happened to George Floyd. Maybe a better use of words would be, I always try to look at what we as a country can learn from it. If there's one thing I think that's happened since last Monday night, I feel like white people in America, and not just white people, everyone in general, I feel like we have all finally become aware of the fact that police brutality against minorities is a real thing. Hopefully, people are finally awake enough that we will see some type of real change from this, because it's been going on for too long. I've avoided talking about it since it happened because, number one, I mean, this is a sports channel. I don't talk about social issues or politics. And number two, I leave things like this to people who know a whole lot more about it than I do. Plus, I feel like sports are an escape for us, and I don't feel politics has any business being on a sports show, my sports show anyway. Another reason I avoided it is because it's an uncomfortable thing to talk about, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm just being honest. I can't speak for all white people. I can only speak for myself, but you tend to worry when talking about things like this, about saying the wrong thing. Anything that I can say can be misconstrued by somebody. Hell, I was accused of being a racist just the other day on YouTube because I don't think Dak Prescott is a top 5 quarterback. That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. I don't know what me thinking Dak is not a top 5 quarterback has to do with race, but according to a couple of people, I guess it does. Not to mention the fact that I think Russell Wilson is a top 5 quarterback and he's African American too, but I digress. Being a diehard Saints fan and being a super fan of Drew Brees the last 14, 15 years, I figured I would give you my thoughts about what he said on Wednesday morning. Because, to be honest with you, Drew Brees is obviously one of the people who doesn't understand, I guess, the totality of what's going on right now. Now, I'm not saying Drew Brees is racist, because I don't think that is the case whatsoever. I don't think Drew Brees has a negative bone in his body. What I am saying is that Drew Brees may not understand why African Americans, and not just African Americans, why a lot of people, myself included, in this country are so upset right now. In case you didn't know what's going on, Drew Brees was interviewed Wednesday by Yahoo. I think it was Yahoo Finance. And in the interviewer asked Drew Brees about the subject of kneeling for the national anthem. And what he said kind of proves to me that 4 years later, he still does not understand the reasoning behind Colin Kaepernick and other African American players in the NFL kneeling for the national anthem. Drew Brees said that he could never respect someone who kneels for the national anthem. Here are his actual comments. Quote, "I will never agree with anybody disrespecting the flag of the United States of America or our country. Let me just tell you what I see or what I feel when the national anthem is played and when I look at the flag of the United States. I envision my 2 grandfathers who fought for this country during World War II, one in the Army, one in the Marine Corps, both risking their lives to protect our country and to try to make our country in this world a better place. Every time I stand with my hand over my heart, looking at that flag and singing the national anthem, that's what I think about. And in many cases, it brings me to tears thinking about all that has been sacrificed, not just those in the military, but for that matter, those throughout the civil rights movements of the 60s and everyone, and all that has been endured by so many people up until this point. And is everything right with our country right now? No, it's not. We still have a long way to go. But I think what you do by standing there and showing respect to the flag with your hand over your heart is it shows unity. It shows that we are all in this together. We can all do better and that we are all part of the solution. End quote. That was the end of Drew Brees' comments. His comments show how out of touch he is with what's going on today, right now. The answer he gave is the same answer that he has been giving for the last 4 years when asked about kneeling for the national anthem. Now, last month, last year, 2018, 2017, 2016, that answer was not a big deal. Matter of fact, that answer was supported by the majority of people in the media and a lot of people in the public. But the timing was the difference this time. Drew Brees' stance on kneeling for the national anthem has not changed. America's stance has changed. It kind of showed that he lacked empathy for what's going on today. That is what the big deal is. That's what people are upset about. That one sentence, I will never agree with someone disrespecting the flag. It sends the message that Drew Brees is unwilling to listen to another point of view. I think a lot of the reason why people are so shocked is because they didn't expect this out of Drew Brees. We did not expect this out of Drew Brees. That is one reason why it is so shocking. As a diehard Saints fan, as a guy who has admired Drew Brees for the last 14 or 15 years, it's disappointing that after 4 years, he doesn't understand that A, the reasoning behind Colin Kaepernick and the protest, and B, that African-American NFL players and African-Americans in general might not view the American flag the same way that he does because of the history of the persecution in this country. For years, literally 4 years, Colin Kaepernick tried to bring awareness to the issue of police brutality. And many white people discredited him. He was vilified by the mainstream media. People took it as Kaepernick disrespecting the military, disrespecting the flag. Even after Colin Kaepernick mentioned countless times over and over again that he was trying to bring awareness to this issue in the most respectful and peaceful way possible, people wouldn't listen. He's a traitor. He's disrespecting our country. That's what you heard. He wasn't burning the flag. He wasn't organizing riots in the street after the deaths of black men at the hand of the police. He simply kneeled during the national anthem. That was it. An idea, mind you, that he got from the fucking military as a respectful way to bring awareness to his cause. But no one in the media wanted to talk about that the last 4 years. No, they didn't want to hear it. The entire narrative was Colin Kaepernick was disrespecting the military. Now, all of a sudden, the media is all in support of Colin Kaepernick and his message. It just kind of makes you wonder. Drew Brees should know better. Like I said, I don't believe Drew Brees is a racist. I think Drew Brees is just simply uneducated on this issue. I know some people, that's hard to believe, considering that he's in a locker room every day with guys that are similar to Colin Kaepernick. But you've got to look at how and where Drew Brees was raised. He comes from a prominent, privileged family in Austin, Texas. If anyone was raised in a whitewashed environment, it was Drew Brees. All he's known his entire life is the good in America. He has said it for years. It's the 4 F's: faith, family, football, philanthropy. Even though philanthropy starts with a P, but you get his point. In his eyes, there is no excuse for disrespecting the flag. He comes from a military family. However, Drew Brees has got to open his eyes to the fact that the majority of his teammates don't see the flag as a unifying tool like he does. I'll be honest with you. I'm shocked that Drew Brees was not more aware. I mean, after 4 years, I don't understand how he couldn't understand the meaning behind Colin Kaepernick and his peaceful protests. But at the end of the day, he obviously doesn't until now. And he is taking a beating for it. Deservedly so, but it's important. It is important, especially right now, to not spread hatred towards Drew Brees, but encourage him to educate himself on the issue. The last thing this country needs right now is more hatred spread. There is enough of that going around. It is not going to accomplish anything for people to vilify Drew Brees in a hateful manner. It takes away from the real issue at hand. Malcolm Jenkins, who was drafted by the Saints and played alongside Drew Brees for years, and will be playing with him this year in New Orleans, was visibly upset over Drew Brees' comments. He was extremely emotional in his responses, and he had several of them. You could see the hurt in his eyes because a guy that he respected, a guy that he looked at as a friend, a guy he looked up to be honest with you, how he could completely miss the point on what the fuck is going on and what was behind the protest to begin with. I'm hoping guys like Malcolm Jenkins, Cam Jordan, Michael Thomas, I'm hoping they can rally around Drew Brees and open his eyes to the struggles that are going on in the black community. You can't reverse ignorance with hatred. You can't reverse it with hostility. The only way you can do it is by opening someone's eyes to it that has never had to live through it themselves. Everyone knows the old saying, actions speak louder than words. Unfortunately, today, especially with the advent of social media, that no longer seems to be true. It should be, but it's no longer true because if you look at the actions of Drew Brees, his 20-year record, all the time that he spent rebuilding New Orleans after Katrina, the millions upon millions of dollars that he's donated over the years. Hell, he just donated $5 million to feed families in New Orleans during the coronavirus pandemic. New Orleans as a city is over 60% African American. Who's benefiting from the actions of Drew Brees? I think the answer is obvious. As wrong as Drew Brees is with what he is saying and the timing of his comments, and he's wrong, I don't think it should discredit all of the good that he has done in New Orleans for the African American community over the past 10 or 15 years. But no one wants to mention that fact. Just like no one wanted to mention the fact that Colin Kaepernick got the ideal of kneeling from the military. We get so caught up in this country over sound bites and the big media story of the moment that no one really takes time to reflect and look at the big picture. Should Drew Brees be criticized for his comments? Absolutely. He needs to open his eyes, like I've said a million times. I'm not saying that he should get a pass, but just because he made a mistake, just because he said something wrong, it should not wipe away the 20 years of good that he has done. I commend LeBron James regularly on this channel for being a superstar since he was 16 years old and never having an arrest, never having a scandal. He's said some things over the years that I don't necessarily agree with, just like anyone else, but in the age of social media, I can't think of one overwhelming negative, one blemish on the record of LeBron James. I never agreed with the Laura Ingrams of the world who told LeBron James to just shut up and dribble when he was talking about social issues or politics. I think star athletes should speak out more on things like this and not have to fear getting attacked or canceled. Up until Wednesday morning, you could say that same thing about Drew Brees. 20 years in the public spotlight. Not one blemish on his record. All I'm saying, let's not crucify the guy long term for making a mistake. I know some people will disagree with that, but this whole cancel culture has got to stop. If Drew Brees had a record of negativity, of racial comments, of scandals, I could understand. But wanting to cancel a 20-year legacy over one mistake does not make any sense to me. Look, he admitted he was wrong. He apologized. He said he missed the mark. He missed the point. And Drew Brees is not the only one that's missed the mark. Most of America has missed the mark on the issue of racism and police brutality for years now. African Americans have been yelling at the top of their lungs for years about this issue, decades, and it's fallen on deaf ears. Drew Brees didn't come out defensive when he was being criticized for his remarks. He didn't try to explain away his comments, make an excuse. He said, hey, look, guys, I'm wrong. And I'm going to educate myself on these issues to get a better understanding. What more do you want from the guy? Isn't America about forgiveness too? I see some people commenting on how Saints players will never look at Drew Brees the same again. How this will tarnish his leadership in the locker room. I could not disagree more. I know many of his teammates have come out against his comments, but that's okay. Maybe that's what he needs to open his eyes, to really get an understanding. But the guys in that locker room, the Cam Jordans, the Demario Davises, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, the guys that have played alongside Drew Brees for many years, they know the heart of Drew Brees. Hell, Demario Davis went on CNN and actually defended Drew Brees. I think this will turn into something that unites the Saints locker room that was already united. I believe the guys in that locker room will rally around Drew Brees because Drew Brees has been the lead guy in rallying around guys in the past that have fallen on hard times. The problem I have right now, people are narrowing in on this one section of the interview, that one sentence. No one is talking about the answer Drew Brees gave before the question of the flag came up. How he's talking about how we all need to work together. We all need to unite, bring everyone together. We get more accomplished when we're all united and working together for one cause. No one's talking about that. Look, I'll never know what it's like to be black in America. I think that's fucking obvious. I do empathize with the history of how they've been treated in this country, not only by police, but by segments of the population. The bottom line is things need to change. They have been needing to change for a long time now. There's no question about it. Hopefully, after everything that's went on the past week and a half, we will start to see real change in this country. All right, that's all for today. Hit that like and subscribe button for me. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Thank you guys that have already done so. I appreciate the support. Does not go unnoticed. Leave me a comment in the section below. What do you guys think about Drew Brees and his comments? Does his record excuse him? Maybe give him a pass? Or is his legacy forever tarnished? Let me know your thoughts. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. If you have any questions, email them to btlkc84@gmail.com. I will see you guys next time.